Instructions?
Nope, I don't have any.
Okay, great. We'll go through and do a roll call for CAFO Advisory Committee members, and then agency staff, and then we'll go around the screen after that. So is Dan Levold on? Seeing him. Alice Morrison?
Hi, I'm here. I'm online today.
Morning, Alice.
Hello.
Dr. Carolyn Lorenzen. Saw you. Okay. Mark Oldenkamp. David May.
Yeah, David May is on. I don't think Mark is on the committee any longer as he heads toward retirement.
Oh, okay. I'll update this list. Thanks. Tammy Stark. See Tammy. Tom Thompson. Okay, maybe he'll show up. Is Austin on? Zach Wilson. Okay. So we'll go around and do ODA staff and then DEQ, and then we'll go around after that. Good morning, Isaac Stapleton, Natural Resources Division Director for ODA. And we do have our new CAFO program manager here, so we'll kick it to her next for an introduction. So maybe we can do more than just her name, but that'd be good.
Okay. I don't know what all you are interested in knowing about me, but I'm Connie Landis. I'm the new CAFO program manager. I've been here a little bit over a month now. I'm originally from Prineville. Got both my bachelor's and master's at Oregon State University and have worked in cooperative extension for most of my career. I was previously with Washington State Department of Agriculture and am happy to be back in Oregon.
Katie?
Katie Carney, ODA, CAFO program.
Kinsey?
Kinsey Landry, ODA, CAFO program. I am the administrative assistant or specialist.
Thanks. Chrissy?
Hi, I'm Chrissy Caldwell, and I'm the CAFO program analyst.
That's all ODA folks. Taylor?
Hi, everyone. West.
Can't hear you.
Well,
That's still
it worked this way.
Taylor's been having some issues with her mic. Taylor is DEQ's CAFO permit coordinator, lead. Yeah, so our main contact with DEQ for coordination between the two agencies. And I do see Mike McCord on. Mike, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. I'm Mike McCord. I'm the Northwest Region Manager for the Water Resources Department. I'm based out of Salem.
Thanks. And then Jake Nelson.
Yeah, good morning. Jake Johnstone. I'm the Deputy Administrator for Field Services Division here at Oregon Water Resource Department. I help Mike and the region managers and the administrator with all the operations across the state. So Mike was nice enough to invite me to join in here to learn more about the CAFO and the OWRD overlap. So looking forward to learning more and getting to know you folks. Thanks.
Nice. Thanks for joining us. All right, let's go to Jennifer Cruikshank.
Yeah, good morning, Jennifer Cruikshank, Oregon State University Dairy Extension.
Medina.
Morning, everybody. I'm Heather Medina Socieda. I'm with the Natural Resources Conservation Service based out of Tangent, covering Southwestern Oregon. Thanks.
Hey, thanks for joining us. Mike Freese.
Hey, good morning. Mike Freese. I represent a few different CAFOs and members of Food Northwest. Thanks.
Yeah. EPA Nick Peak.
Hey, good morning. This is Nick Peak. I'm the Regional Ag Advisor for EPA Region 10, and I sit over here in Boise, Idaho. Thanks.
Thanks. Steve Podekar.
Good morning, Stephen Podekar, EPA Region 10, CAFO Enforcement.
See you, Stephen. Tara Heinzen.
Good morning, Tara Heinzen with Food and Water Watch.
I think I got everyone except for Tammy.
Tammy Kerr, Oregon Dairy Farmers Association.
Did I miss anyone else? Okay, all right. So Connie introduced herself. That kind of checks that one off. Connie will be taking over the reins for these CAC meetings going forward. Take over the reins today if you want.
That's right.
You know,
Great.
that'd be great. So that is something to look forward to. Super excited to have Connie on and have the capacity back in the program to continue to move things forward and work on all the various things that we've got going on. So that's a relief for me for sure. We do need to do a quick review of the April minutes. Does anybody, the CAC members, have any corrections, changes, issues with the minutes from last time? Nope. Okay. We'll put those up as done. All right, the next agenda item then would be the NPDES general permit update. Katie's going to kind of give us an overview of where we're at, where the project plan is, what it's looking like. If I want to need it, but go for it, Katie.
Yeah, so
What's up?
largely Taylor West from DEQ and I have been working on updating the previous 2016 permit, rewriting it. We are closely completed with the draft. It is in the internal review stage between the two agencies. And then after that, we will be sending it off to EPA for further review soon after. So definitely coming along, and I think last meeting we said kind of an early fall expected date. So we seem to be on track. So happy with that progress.
Yeah, I think so. Once all the reviews done internally, right, like that document then would go out for the public comment process. What's the length of time that it's open for public comment?
Yeah, it'll be a 35-day public comment process. We expect to have a hearing, I think 30 days out. So get ready.
Yeah, and then, right, once public comment closes, just so like folks know what the process is from there, we get all of those comments, depends on how many we get that we've got to review and how long that would then take us to respond to comments or identify ones that don't need response or whatever that looks like, and then have the final permit that we would then put out. So that it really kind of depends on how long that's going to take, depending on how many comments we get and how many of them are very similar versus unique ones that we've got to bucket into and respond. So it's kind of hard to give a time frame for what that will look like once the actual comment period closes, but we'll be working on that jointly with DEQ. That's a process that we come together on for review of comments.
Susan, wait, well, what was the goal date?
Fall. Intentionally vague. Yeah, we don't want to overcommit and underdeliver. So
right.
It's yeah.
We're moving forward.
Would we like it to be quicker? Absolutely. But staff are working very hard to make sure that we've reevaluated and looked at all the different sections moving forward until we have a solid permit.
And maybe Christy can correct me on that, but once we get to a final version of the permit down the line after response to comments, then I think we start getting people onto the permit.
Yeah. Christy, do you want to just walk through like what we've done in the past for then noticing people onto the new general permit?
Yes, so in the past, we have gone area by area and have noticed each area so that those people, like area 1 would be first. And then all of those people would be on the permit, and then we would notice area 2 and so on and so forth, until everybody who wants to be on the permit is on the permit.
Yeah, and
And that
so,
would include substantial changes to their animal waste management plans. And if we have any new people who want to go on the permit, we usually add them to the noticing also.
everybody will have to go through a new public notice process then to be put onto this new general permit. So that'll be a large workload for the program for sure. With as many people we have on the permit, so.
And when we go to notice on the NPDES permit, I believe we will be asking for the water supply plan from our people on the NPDES permit. So we need to have those before we can notice the facility. So we'll start that process also.
Important point.
Could
Yeah.
you say that again?
So when we go to renew people onto the new general permit or put people onto the new general permit and do those public notices, part of Senate Bill 85 was anybody that was new or renewing has to provide the water supply plan. So once the NPDES permit is done and we start that process with Area 1 or how we decide to carve up that workload, those people will have to provide us a water supply plan before it can go to public notice. So it'll have to be their complete packet, nutrient management plan, water supply plan, all that goes to public notice together.
But does that provide you with the plan, but then the coming back from water resources?
Yeah, it's got to go through all that.
Yeah, so it have to come back from, and that's a 30-day,
35 days.
35, no, I mean, for the.
I think
water
the
supply.
review period is 45 days. WRD has
Yeah.
45 days to review. So we'll start asking soon. For
Pre-fall.
that permit, yeah,
Mhm.
pre-fall.
Yeah, so folks can start thinking like, put on the extended permit now, can start thinking about that and doing some legwork ahead. It'll be in their
And then
benefit.
on top of that, have you guys talked to water resources, see what they think they can accommodate the 45 days?
Yeah, we've talked to Mike McCord a few times. Yeah, they're on. Yeah, yeah, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I think we've talked about this before. Just the concern of doing this by region. If you start with Region 1, just Tillamook County is what, 101 currently that would need to be renewed. And I don't know if we could accomplish that. And that's just Tillamook County. There's two other counties in that district. I don't know if we can accomplish all of those in a 45-day window.
We have talked
Mike,
about
I'm sorry.
ahead, Christine.
I was just going to say that that's just how we've done it in the past. I know that
Yeah.
we've discussed doing it a little bit different this time. We just haven't come up with a solid game plan yet.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Yeah, some of what we've discussed with WRD so far is like, well, can we do a certain percent from each of our areas? That way, Tillamook is only getting a handful at a time, and then we'll do the next handful and a handful. So we're still trying to figure out exactly what the project plan would be for that and how we would divide it up, so we're not overloading like a single water master in a district with these. But
And I put the links in the chat to our website. We have an instruction sheet and an FAQ document. That's the number one question I've received since I've been here.
where to find that?
Is there information for how to fill out?
Yeah.
The water supply plan? So.
And WRD has been a great partner so far in like working with permanent folks and helping them find the information if they don't have it at their fingertips. So that's been good. Any other questions about the NPDES permit? Hopes, fears, no. Okay. Then let's talk about the WPCF permit, because that one will be expiring this year and needing to go on and be extended. And Christy will talk about what we've done so far to get people ready for that and what that looks like.
Okay. So we have 141 people who are registered to the WPCF permit. And on April 9th, we sent out a renewal package to each of those. It included a cover letter, a renewal application that was pre-filled out with the operator information, a water supply plan, and instructions to complete the water supply plan. And we put a due date of August 1st on, hoping to receive all of those by then, so we have time to review them. So far, we've received 21 renewals and supply plans. A couple of them were missing the water supply plan and a couple were missing the renewal, so we'll have to go back and get those. But we're kind of nervous about that 21 number. Hopefully more will come in. We sent out a Gov delivery message to remind people on June 27th. So hopefully that'll help get a few more in. And then I plan to send out another reminder about the middle of July. If
When was the
people,
initial mailing done or outreach?
April 9th,
Okay.
yeah. We tried to give plenty of time.
Yeah.
So the permit expires on September 28th. And we have to have the renewal form in, signed and dated for people to be extended on that permit. So the renewal form is the most important thing that needs to get into us. We can continue to help with the water supply plan if people are having troubles, because the new WPCF permit hasn't been written yet. So we have a little bit of time, but we wanted to do this collection of information ahead of time so we were prepared when the new permit is written.
Yeah, and I think it's important to stress that when we get to that permit expiration and past that date, we will not have a general NPDES permit ready and final ready. It won't have gone through the full process and be able to be used. And we won't be able to add or change anybody that's on the WPCS. We essentially won't have any general permits that we can issue to anyone or modify. So it would only leave an individual permit that we could write and create for someone.
Okay.
So that would be your only option. Those are very expensive. So if an operator falls off the permits, doesn't get themselves renewed, and they are going to continue to operate, they will need a permit. They will need an individual permit. I don't want to write a bunch of individual permits because it's a huge workload and we're trying to get the general ones done. So yeah, folks really need to pay attention to that and get their renewal packets in. We will, like Christy said, we will continue to do outreach to those, including through the inspectors directly to folks, but the sooner folks can get that into us so that we've got everybody kind of checked off the list and don't have too many people to chase down and make sure that they don't fall off. That would be really beneficial.
One question in that gray zone that's going to happen, if somebody needs to do some construction because of whatever, because I have like say an NRCS cost share contract that's going to expire, contractors are only available, blah, blah, but it also is, I mean, it's not just swapping out a part, right? How would that work?
So it may depend a little bit on the type of construction that they're doing and how it changes their nutrient management plan or not. The nutrient management plans won't be able to be updated during that period because that's part of the permit. So folks should definitely be thinking about that. If folks have specific things that's the case, let's talk earlier than later and see how it fits or doesn't. But you know, I don't want to blindside people. So if they have something like that, good to talk about it.
I think the good thing is, is because we've been working on the NPDES permit, we have high hopes that the WPCF will follow shortly after. We won't have as long of a gap in the extended or administratively extended period. That is our goal.
Right. I mean, the NPDES will serve as the template for the state one. So that is good. We have done a lot of the heavy lifting up front on this other one. Other questions? Okay, call your friends and neighbors who have permits, WPCF permits. Tell them to get their renewal in.
If our operators need help with their water supply plan, the best way to do that is to call Water Resources and talk to their local water master. We've had some troubles with finding wells that weren't tied into the actual property address. They were just lots and site numbers. So Water Resources can definitely help out with that.
Yeah, Mike, is there anything you want to add there? Your side?
Yeah, that's a common problem because over the years we've registered wells to properties in different ways. Sometimes they're old addresses, route box numbers, and things like that. Of course, ownerships sometimes change. And the well log is always going to be in the name of whoever paid the driller to have the well drilled, right? We don't change it when the property sells. So there can be some difficulties in doing that. And sometimes we may not be able to find a well log, but that doesn't mean that they can't use the well for the exempt uses. If there's no well log, depending on when the well was drilled, if it was drilled for 1962, there's a good chance we're not going to have a well log unless it's associated with the water right. So sometimes we won't be able to find a well log. Probably the best thing to do there would just put a GPS location of the well and identify it that way, because we may not have any other way to identify it. But we can sort that kind of stuff out. We do that all the time.
Yeah, and actually that's a great segue, Mike, if you want to keep talking, because the next agenda item is really around water supply plans and water resources departments work, and hoping to have you have that conversation maybe more broadly. I don't know if you got a presentation that you put together for today or not.
No, I think Jake and I are here to answer any questions and maybe bring up a couple scenarios that we have run into as these start to roll out. So I'm all open for questions.
Like, do you want to maybe run through like a couple scenarios where like you have seen so far with what we've given you, or that your water masters have gotten outreach directly from producers at this point?
Yeah, just had this conversation yesterday in Tillamook, of course. So on the application, the water supply plan application form, I guess we'll call it. So the section on the irrigation where it asks for the gallons per day, if we have the water right permit or certificate, we know what the allowable gallons per day is. That's not critical in that section. Just listing the water rights, and we've had people contact us, and actually Nikki Hendricks, our water master in Tillamook, she's been dealing with the a representative, I'm sorry, his name escapes me right now, but from the Creamery Association, and helping to get the word out on that. So that might in your efforts that's going on. One of the things she mentioned is that on the gallons per day for the agricultural commercial use, the industrial side of it, barn washing, egg washing, whatever, we don't know what those numbers are. So that's really upon the applicant to kind of have an idea of what that is. And the same thing with the stock water amount. You've created a good sheet for us to use just based on the number of head, and that's helpful. But those numbers really need to come from the person that's seeking to get this plan, because we don't know those without them telling us.
Right. And folks should make sure that that's matching their permitted numbers when they're looking at number of animals by type, and then the table that is listed down here for gallons of consumption when we're talking about stock water use. We did get a question.
Yeah, I like this part. I like this part of it because this is math I can do. It makes it pretty straightforward.
We did get a question just the other day, Mike, about the surface water source here where it's listed. And what is a description that's appropriate? How should someone fill that out? What would you be looking for?
Well, Senate Bill 85 didn't affect surface water. So the exemptions that apply to stock watering using surface water, there's no change there, whether it's a new CAFO or an old CAFO or a renewal. As long as they were eligible to legally access surface water before, there's no change to it. So I would just approach it from a numbers situation the same way that just using that chart that you have where we just pick number of head and this particular type of livestock takes this much water, and those will be the numbers. And if they're exempt, then there's really nothing more we need to do there.
Great. How does that how does that relate to off-channel pumping for stock water?
Just real quick, I think part of the question, this is Jake with WRD. Part of the question there was, how do your users fill out the source description? Any of the certificates or permits will have the source listed on there. So if they do have an authorized diversion of surface water to meet their needs, they would just go with whatever it says on the certificate.
Okay. And that would cover the folks that are off-channel pumping. Like that's the scenario you're talking about. They would have a source that would be listed for that off-channel watering.
If it was a certificated water right, yeah, it would be whatever the source is on the certificate.
But otherwise, it's just the exempt source. And basically, the easy way to look at it is if your stock have access, to a stream, river, spring, whatever. If they have access to it, then they can use that off-channel pumping to fill stock tanks. But if they're 3 properties away and they don't have access to the surface water source, then they need a water right. That's the big distinction.
Can you use an irrigation certificate to stock water in the wintertime?
Well, you wouldn't be using the irrigation certificate. You would be using the stock water exemption for surface water. But you could use the same. You could use the same diversion point. Yeah.
Okay.
But with the caveat that Mike was pointing out, because of the exemption requires there to be access. So let's say you're like 20 miles down a ditch and don't have access to the surface water source. That's where that's a little more sticky. So irrigation season is tied to a seasonal use, and the question was talking about winter use, right? So we're outside of irrigation, so diversion shouldn't be occurring unless there's a stock water right associated with that water right as well.
All the details.
All the details.
Yeah. So, when in doubt, reach out to the water master.
Yeah. Have there been any issues or things that have come up when you've received the water supply plans that you want folks to pay attention to before they send them to you? Like, we're getting lots of information that's incorrect or errors or things that producers should keep an eye out when they're filling out the form. That's something that is a common tripping hazard for folks.
I've seen, and I don't see all of these, but I've seen some where when they're describing because typically the uses for commercial and for livestock, typically those aren't so associated with the water right. But when people are identifying their irrigation rights, in section 4, I think, let me look. Sometimes we get some numbers that are a bit of a head scratcher as far as those numbers don't match. If they match a water right permit or certificate, the number they've given us sometimes may be in a different county. So I think what I'm encouraging water masters to do is, we're going to end up with a 45-day window. Any work that can be done ahead of that, so when this form comes in, it's mostly, if not perfectly accurate, that will not cause us to get into delays where we can't meet the 45-day timeline. So upfront work has been pointed out earlier is a good idea. So the end product that we see when we're up against that clock is as accurate as possible.
Okay. Another question that I've heard folks have is around the industrial exemption and like what that is all inclusive of. You know, for example, cooling water, dust control, wash water. Like, can you kind of just help folks understand what falls into there and it isn't actually stock water, like exempt water, like the differences there?
Yeah, well, the exemptions are broken up and they can be stacked, if you will. Like, think of a typical operation. They might be using a well for their house. Well, that's the domestic, and it has a cap on it that really is 15,000 gallons per day. But that would be for a group of houses. No one house will use that much for domestic supply. Then the commercial industrial exemption, it has a word in it that can be tricky. It says any single commercial or industrial use. But if I would consider a single use everything that would be involved with an operation for all the different things that they might use that 5,000 gallon for in just the basic operation of the facility. It could be washing, it could be cooling. But it's limited to the 5,000 gallon per day. So that's the one where people really need to have a good idea of what they're going to need and do they need 5,000 per day? Because if they do, then they get into a water right permit requirement. And then the stock watering is again a separate exemption. It can be used in conjunction with these other exemptions. And unless it's a new CAFO where there's never been a CAFO before, there's no change. You know, Senate Bill 85 didn't change anything there. It's just for the new ones that we get the 12,000 gallon per day cap. Anything above that would require a permit.
Perfect, thanks.
I had one question. If Grandpa drilled a well in 1910 and never registered, and that well is currently used, but doesn't have any WRD paperwork with it, what would a person do? You know what I mean?
Yeah, they can use that well. We really didn't start requiring well logs. The statute changed in 1955. A lot of people for exempt wells really didn't submit well logs until 1962, when the first rules governing well construction standards went into effect. So there are plenty of wells out there that predate both of those dates. They're still allowed to use the exemption, a well log or anything, because there was no way for people to.
Right. So you could use that well for irrigation?
No one did it, only if it has an irrigation right on it.
So you
But
have
you
to
could use
apply
it for
for
the.
that.
Right, and you would, but for the exempt uses, the commercial exemption and the stock water exemption, regardless of when the well was drilled, it can be used for those exemptions.
Okay.
For WRD, I've not had the time to look it up yet, but I was speaking to a producer yesterday and he said there was a recent change in WRD's rules related to that, I guess, half-acre exemption. Do you see that applying to any CAFOs that might not have an irrigation water right, or is that separate?
Yeah, I don't think scale wise it's going to come into play. What the change is, what the change will be starting next year is previous to this bill passing just recently, the irrigation use could only be for non-commercial purposes. So your lawn, your shrubs, your tomatoes that your family's going to eat. The change in the law allows people to grow a commercial half acre So that's something, if they're gonna have a roadside stand and sell cucumbers, then fine. You'll be able to do that starting next year. The half acre, I don't think scale wise is gonna work out and be of any benefit really to a dairy or anything like that.
Okay. Any other questions? Water, always a fun topic. And now it's part of our permitting process, so we're learning and we're implementing, so all good things. The next thing that was on our topic, I'm not gonna go into a whole lot of detail on this one, but I did want to bring it up because it's gonna require the program to do a bit of rulemaking, so folks may recall that we had issued a permit to JS Ranch facility, which is going to be a commercial poultry facility here in the valley, and that permit was challenged on a number of different things. Ultimately, we had a hearing to set aside some things initially before we actually went to the official trial. And the judge ruled on a couple of provisions that made the permit that we issued no longer valid. And so one of the ones that's going to require some work from us was when we did rulemaking after Senate Bill 85, and the judge's official ruling isn't out, so we haven't seen the actual ruling from the bench yet, but there will be a written ruling. But it's around how we defined what previously operated had meant from Senate Bill 85. So that term is pretty vague. Like, what does it actually mean to previously operate? Do you have to have animals on site? Do you have to have buildings on site? Do you have to to what level does it have to be operating? So we took the stance to further clarify what we thought that meant and how the program could function within previously operated. And we said previously operated meant you actually were issued a permit. So we went through the full permitting process. We approved you for a permit. Operated. The judge thought that was too narrow and said, no, that's not valid. Your rule is invalidated. And therefore the permit is not a new permit and it's not a valid permit. So more will come when the judge's ruling actually comes out, but we're going to have to go back and look at that specific definition. And that will be done after we get the ruling from the judge. But just know that that is something that's coming that we'll have to contend with. But I can try and answer some questions that people have, and I don't have a whole lot more information to share other than that. But okay. Ani.
All right. Engagement is super, super important. I'm excited to get more engaged with the industry. And one of the ideas we had for these advisory committee meetings is to move to in-person and to move around the state and follow them with a tour of a farmer facility. So wanted to throw that idea out there and see what everyone thought of it. If you have ideas of places we could tour, let me know. You could speak up now or reach out to me later. But hoping to start that with our next meeting this fall. Thoughts?
One thing to note, so when we do remotes, since these are public meetings, we'll have to have a remote option. So there will still be an option for folks to participate remotely into the meeting portion, but obviously we can't do that for an actual tour. So the meeting would actually end and then we do a separate tour type of a thing. But so.
Taylor says she loves that idea.
Of course Taylor does.
Would the tour be for committee members or everybody that was present?
I mean, I would think everybody that's present.
Are there concerns with opening it to everybody? Yeah. Okay, we can talk about that
later.
Yeah. Okay, well, if you think of other things, please reach out. So I know what everyone's thinking before I move forward with this.
I mean, I think it would be nice to move around the state. It allows other producers who are in that area who may join virtually or not, like the opportunity to actually like engage directly. Obviously get to see some producers operations potentially if that works out for folks, things like that. And it just, gets us out and
Well, to
around.
collaborate with your regional
Yes,
inspectors and
exactly.
all of that, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Connie's working extension, like, cause we're gonna start seeing it show up. I'm very excited about it.
See people in person, right?
Chained to your desk for the
Yes, I would much rather be out in the field.
Connie is definitely not chained. That's been cut. Like, no way, like, go for
I
it.
got keys to a vehicle this week, like, I can go.
Yeah, really.
Great. Okay. Well, yeah, if other, committee members have ideas about how to how or where, we'll really want to improve the engagement around the state. That'd be great.
Yeah.
All right. We've got industry, partner updates. So I know, Nick, you're on, and Steven, if there was any updates from EPA. How's things at EPA? Tell us.
Hey, Isaac, this is Nick. I don't actually have any updates. I am kind of curious. I had a question from one of my managers the other day that what is the timeline for EPA review of the CAFO permit? Is there like an agreed upon timeline for that? I can't remember what it is.
So when you'll get it, you mean by what date or by
No,
how long?
no, just how. Yeah, just how long we'd have to review it.
Yeah, I think we're planning on 2 weeks right now.
Okay.
I think DEQ, and Taylor can correct me if I'm wrong, whatever the agreement is between DEQ and EPA on permit review, I think it's 2 weeks in that agreement. I'm not totally clear on that, so Taylor, speak up. But that's what we're planning on, unless EPA needed to request additional time.
Okay. Yeah, I think that probably is enough. But just wanted to double check. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks.
And Taylor confirmed that. She says, I believe that is correct.
Great. Okay. And Steven, do you have anything from enforcement side?
No, I do not.
Okay, thanks. Heather, anything from NRCS?
I can share a few things. My internet in my office is really poor, so I'm not going to put my camera on. So I'm going to put a few links in the chat. Let's see. First one will be just information related to Farm Bill programs. And so right now, most of our field offices in Oregon are contracting through the Environmental Quality Incentives Program and for the Conservation Stewardship Program. So here is a link to our Farm Bill programs. In Oregon, we did receive, some people were selected for the Deferred Resignation Program. So we did lose staff, about 24 staff in Oregon. Definitely we're hit hard by our engineers as well. But just wanted to give you kind of update on that. One of the things that I'm also going to put in the chat is for anything related to manure management, waste storage facilities, it is required to have a comprehensive nutrient management plan. So I put a link into our technical service providers. There are not many technical service providers in the state of Oregon. We are looking for more technical service providers that can write a comprehensive nutrient management plan. So this is a huge challenge that we have. Our state conservationist, Greg Becker, is aware of this. We're looking to see how we can get more technical service providers. And as I mentioned, we have very low engineers also. So engineers are required to review a comprehensive nutrient management plan. So because we don't have the experience here in Oregon, that either needs to go to a a tech center, either out east, which then creates some time for a review. So just nationally we are down engineers, so it takes some time. I know we have created in Oregon, we have a few environmental quality incentives program funding that we have given to dairy producers and working through the process for comprehensive nutrient management plans, but it is taking some time. So just wanted to share that information. Thank you.
Heather, oh, go ahead, Tammy.
Heather, where are you in the state office or where did you say
I
you're
know
located?
I am in I cover the Southwest area, Tammy. I'll put my camera on quick to see. We have met a few times, and so I'm the assistant state conservationist for field operations. My office is in Tangent and I cover the Southwest. So
Tangent. Thank you.
there is nobody here today from the state office in Portland.
I had a couple questions. So with those reductions in staffing, taking that early retirement, how has that impacted like response or work from your office to producers? Like, does it adding a week to like their ability to do things, or like what can folks expect in terms of delay?
It depends on where the request is. So for example, I cover Southwest Oregon. We really didn't have a cut. If you're looking in the Tillamook area or you're looking in that basin, and the lower Willamette, upper Willamette, North Coast, that they drastically were affected and have lost staff. Our engineers, we currently do not have a state engineer. We have an acting state engineer, so that time is affected. We don't have a lot of engineers, so it just depends on what the need is. So it is a struggle, but we're trying to the best we can.
And then I had a question on the technical service providers. So if I remember correctly, NRCS used to have funding to help train and get more folks as technical service providers. Did you lose that funding? I can't recall. And like, or is that still an active thing that y'all do?
I've been here about 10 years. I don't remember any funding for training TSPs. I can put my contact information in my email address in the chat. Amy Hendershot is the Amy Hendershot is the state resource conservationist. She currently is on vacation, so she is the person in charge of all the technical service providers. Her staff work on updating the TSP list. I do know are some comments that I hear related to for CNMPs is extremely low on how we pay that rate. Again, I've never been aware that of funding available for training. Usually that training is provided from our state office. Again, that's Amy Hendershot is the contact.
Yeah, a year ago, they had a class in Salem somewhere and 90% of the people were NRCS employees. But there was a couple people who weren't. So part of it is the interest isn't overwhelming.
Sure.
So
yeah, we definitely need more interest.
Getting the word out and recruiting, promoting.
We definitely see that as a spot where we get questions from producers not having enough toms around.
Yes.
Heather, I have a question. So you said in the upper Willamette Basin, lower Willamette Basin, they were hit, I guess, with the reduction in staff. If we have producers that were working with someone and they are no longer able to get in contact with them, assuming they left, is Amy the same person to reach out to see the updated staff list and who people should be reaching out to in their areas now?
So I can give you Kim Gray is the acting basin team leader in the lower Willamette North Coast. And so she is the point of contact. You can email her. She can give you, for example, the Beaver Creek office has been, there's nobody, they have acting district conservationist in that office, but Kim Gray is the contact, acting basin team leader that you can contact if there's questions. She can give you an update on who is covering which office in the North Coast, Lower Willamette.
Thank you. Okay. Do you have any, I mean, that covers all of our federal partners. Any industry updates? Dairy, cattle, poultry?
But the only one,
To have Connie here.
no, the only one, I spoke to Kate Lott over at the creamery and then about the water stuff, and they were gonna take it on to, they have a person there who's educating, that's what Mike was alluding to. That's gonna be kind of a point person for the creamery guys to come to ask questions about the water supply plans. So that'll help a lot.
Yeah, that will be helpful. Any other general updates from the CAC members or industry? I like awkward silence.
Embrace it.
All right, anybody want to provide any public comment? Okay, all right. Well, unless there's no other final comments or things folks want to talk about, wrap up a half hour early and give people a full noon hour.
Sweet, found time.
All right. Please make sure to reach out if you have thoughts on the next location for a CAC meeting. Love to get the next one actually out in the wild. So thanks, y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.